So, as promised, I'm now sitting here with Jan Alfheim, CEO of our portfolio company, Oncoinvent. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
So just linking it back to what Jon Arne was talking about, the Research Council, Oncoinvent is one of the companies that has benefited from support from the Research Council.
Yes, definitely. We received a grant, a BA grant, to support our clinical trials in the colorectal cancer patients.
Very good. So just to start, Jan, can you please just tell us a little bit more about your background and how
Certainly.
you became CEO of Oncoinvent?
Okay. Well, first to explain my heavy Norwegian accent, I was born and raised in Canada, in Montreal, but with Norwegian parents from the West Coast. So I grew up in Canada, studied in Montreal at the Concordia University of Chemistry, and then I've taken an MBA at McGill University in Montreal as well. In terms of my industrial experience, I have 35 years experience in the pharmaceutical and chemical industries, and started off as a research chemist way back when. I don't pretend to be a chemist any longer, it's been too long. But about half my career I spent at the research bench and developing products and technologies, and then moved over to the business side of things. Started working in business development and building of companies. The last 9 years I've spent working in the radiopharmaceutical area, and I've helped the founders of Oncoinvent build a company prior to Oncoinvent, which is called Nordic Nanovector. So, yeah, 35-year career in the pharmaceutical industry. That's
Great,
me.
Yeah. Can you now sort of link it with the history of Oncoinvent? Because you've been with it for quite a while now.
Yeah, so I think I'd like to start by mentioning the two main founders, Øyvind Bruland and Roy Larsen. Their backgrounds, for those who aren't familiar with the names, are they're serial entrepreneurs that have started 3 to 4 new companies. Their first success was with Algeta when they invented the product Xofigo, which is now on the market for treatment of bone metastases from prostate cancer. They started Nordic Nanovector after they invented beta-lutein. And that's my first experience with Roy when he asked me to come on board as CEO of Nordic and build that company with him. And then 4 years ago, he asked me to help him build Oncoinvent. Oncoinvent in itself, the company, was started 10 years ago, so it's actually our 10-year anniversary. The concept at the beginning was to look at and explore different technologies and see how they could treat various cancer types. It was in 2015 that they came upon the concept of our lead candidate, Radspherin. And it was then they decided that that was the candidate they wanted to bring into development and they wanted to build the company around. So they raised 18 million Norwegian kroner. And the idea was to use the proceeds to build our own research facilities and production facilities, because we believed that it was a strategic decision to have our own production facility. We believe that there's a core competency that is necessary to develop radiopharmaceuticals. So that was one of the first things I did as a CEO, was to find location for our company and to build a research and production facility. So in the last 4 years, we've really focused on Radspherin development, despite having some other assets in the pipeline. All the monies and the time has been focused on bringing Radspherin into the clinical setting.
Yeah. Can you just describe the product Radspherin a little bit?
Yeah, certainly. Radspherin, it is a radiopharmaceutical. It is based on a concept where you have a radioisotope, which is radium-224 in our case, that we've attached to a microparticle. And we inject these microparticles into body cavities to treat micrometastatic disease. So in the first instance, we're targeting a disease called peritoneal carcinomatosis, which is a metastatic disease that comes from primary tumors such as ovarian cancer, colorectal cancer, gastrointestinal cancer. And we have 2 clinical trials ongoing now. One in ovarian cancer patients and one in colorectal cancer patients.
So it's injected directly into the cavities, and it has sort of this local effect.
Exactly. The whole idea is that the microparticles keep the radiation in the body cavity to treat the micrometastatic disease. So you don't get any spread to the rest of the body through the systemic release through the blood. So.
You avoid the systemic effect.
Exactly.
So it's a really elegant mechanism.
Exactly. It maximizes the effect of the drug with while it's at the same time minimizing the side effects or safety issues.
And you just launched clinical trials. So can you say a little bit on how that's going?
It's going very well. Despite COVID, we've been able to recruit patients at the Radium Hospital where we've got both trials ongoing. And we now have the colorectal trial up into the 3rd dose level. We've safely injected 1 and 2 megabecquerel doses of the product into colorectal patients. And on the ovarian side, we've now injected 2 patients. And so we're going to be looking for a 3rd patient to finish the 1st dose level. So we're moving along, and we're planning on adding clinical sites to the trials, 1 in Sweden for the colorectal study and 1 in Belgium for the ovarian cancer study, just to make sure that we maintain a recruitment rate to get the trials completed.
Yeah, that's great. So, looking forward, so what are the current plans and focus going forward?
Well, the current focus clearly is to make sure that the phase 1 trials go as planned, but at the same time, there's a lot of other aspects to developing a pharmaceutical product, among other things, production. So we have the first production level, which you could consider a lab scale, and we're now scaling up the process to become a pilot plant scale before we then move on to commercial scale productions. So the focus is also on the so-called CMC side of things to make sure that we can supply the product to the clinical sites. So phase 1, get that done, and upscale the production side. That's what we're focusing on.
Yeah, and recruitment of the team. I guess you have the benefit of it's sort of been a local community where there's been a lot of focus on radiopharmaceuticals. So there's a lot of experience.
Absolutely. That's one of the benefits of being in Oslo, is that we have a research cluster, not only in cancer, which is renowned around the world by this time, but in the area of radiopharmaceuticals, because of the success of Roy Larsen's earlier companies and the Radium Hospital. The Radium Hospital has been treating cancer patients since 1932. And so we have a strong hospital with a lot of expertise in the area of cancer and radiopharmaceuticals. And in addition, we have collaborators such as the Institute for Energy Technology, who at this point in time helped us with multiple things in the development of Rødsvin. They, among other things, help us supply the product to the hospitals. So once we manufacture it, they come and pick it up and send it to the hospitals for us.
Good. It's a super exciting space. Just to round things up, maybe you could reveal to us what are your main concerns and what are you most excited about?
Yeah. Well, of course, one of the main concerns is to make sure that the trial goes as planned, that COVID-19 doesn't become an issue for us, that we can maintain the recruitment of the patients.
Yeah. How's it looking so far with COVID-19?
Well, so far we've had minimal interruption to our clinical program. The startup of the Swedish trial was somewhat delayed because suddenly the hospital was completely closed, so we couldn't get in. But other than that, the recruitment at the Radium Hospital has not been affected, and it looks like we will be able to recruit at the other centers as well. So far, so good.
Belgium and Sweden then eventually.
Yeah. So, but that's obviously one of the main concerns, that the trial gets delayed, because it is important that we show our investors that we're able to perform, to carry out.
That's important.
Yeah, they're always looking at at how we're doing. But I think that we should be able to bring the trial to a close in the coming year, despite COVID, and we're already planning for the phase 2 pivotal trials for the product. So that moving forward, that'll be one of the things to look forward to. But what I'm of course really excited about is seeing the results of the clinical trials to see whether or not we have, in addition to the safety, of course, which is the primary concern for phase 1, but to see if we have any initial indication of a response from the product. That, of course, will be very interesting to see if we can see that in 2021.
Yeah, no, we are also very excited about that. Great, so thank you very much for coming.
My pleasure.
It's great to have you here, and we're very much looking forward to the continued collaboration with you.
Thank you very much.